right, you ready to go?
Sure. All right. Design Review Board, December 3rd, 2025, at 5:30 PM, City of Bisbee Council Chambers, 118 Arizona Street, will now be open. Roll call. Bob DeCroft.
Here.
Peter Gaffer.
Present.
Lorraine Rogie.
Here.
John Guy.
Present.
Frank Davis here. Kevin Cole is, he's absent. Joe Ward's absent.
Here.
Oh, there he is. I didn't see you sneak in. Okay.
The other Joe Ward.
The other Joe Ward. Mel
Here.
Sweet. Emmanuel Stewart.
Copy.
Xavier's not here. So I think we'll now have the call of the public. Residents of the city of Bisbee may speak at this time regarding the design review board topics that are not on the agenda. I see, Ben, you're signed up?
I'm signed up for number 4.
Okay, someone else is, Colin, Colin? Want to come to the, up and introduce yourself, and you've got 3 minutes to talk on a topic.
Hi, my name's Aurelia Cohen. I'm a Bisbee resident and I grew up around this area, and I recently became aware of an ordinance that was adopted, and I'm aware that this may not be fully a design review board topic, but I think that it is necessary to share my thoughts with you because this is the way that I became aware of it. Essentially, there was an ordinance called 2506 that was adopted, and in reading through it, I find some really concerning items. And they relate to me personally, but also to the community at large, and I feel that really needs to be amended, so I'd like to share that opinion with this whole board, and then also speak to an item later as well. And so as far as it applies to you, I am not fully apprised of the definition of your, I'm not well educated about the design review board limitations, but essentially, the fines that are suggested that could possibly be imposed on people who have non-contributing buildings on their property, I find very concerning. And I have a neighbor who has a property that I was interested in purchasing prior to her ownership. And I had looked into it with the concern around, maybe being able to improve and repair and save this house on her lot. So that will come up later, but because of that situation, I became aware that this ordinance had been adopted, and so I'm really concerned about it, and I just wanted to speak to that and attempt to start a dialogue. There was an anonymous post online that was kind of vague that led me to do some investigation, and I spoke with Mel earlier about some of my concerns. He reassured me that you guys are reasonable people, and there's no way you would ever enforce some of these things that I see listed in the ordinance, but because it is listed in the ordinance as a legal form, that is extremely concerning to me, and so as a concerned member of this community, I'd really like to call on each and every one of you not to okay demolition of buildings that can be restored, and to maybe help make available to the public the avenues to successfully reinvigorate places that are considered dilapidated eyesores and fire hazards and vacant, boarded up, etc. That is the extent of my current concern. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, if there's no one else to speak, we'll move on to agenda item 1, application 25-119, 67 Main Street. Board asked at the November meeting for the applicant to bring back a design that fits better character of the building and includes a safety guard to prevent applicants from falling into the stairwell.
Oops.
Hi, my name is Miriam Strauss. I'm representing the owner of 67 Main Street, Joseph Lewis. I think you can see we submitted an application with a revised design for the window. And the design shows 4 panels, but there was a misunderstanding that we're actually going to be doing 3 panels like you had suggested. He would still like to have them be operable and fully open. So the design that we would like to go with would be wood windows that are clear pane glass, but that they would have a track on the inside where they would be able to be fully opened during the daytime. So they would all move to the one side of the window. And we plan to add a safety guardrail above the sill to prevent falls.
Okay. Any public comments? Staff comments on this? All right, I'll open it up to the board.
Okay, so this is the new drawing that we have?
Yeah, it was
So
supposed to be
you're
three.
proposing three
Not
panes?
4, yes.
Okay.
And they would line
And
up.
the 3 panes would be to align with the lights above the transom lights.
Yes.
Good, I think that's a design that, at least there was concern with the board at our last meeting. And I don't see any kind of guard on here. Is there,
Yeah, it's not drawn on the drawing, but it's intended to be part of the design.
would that be on the inside? Would it be on the outside?
I think it would need to be on the inside, otherwise it wouldn't, there's probably gonna be too much distance for if someone were to climb up and then fall over. So I think it'd be better if it was on the inside of the sill, like between the walls, from one wall to the other wall. But I don't have the specifics because we haven't really made a shop drawing or anything like that, but
Okay, yeah, on the inside,
yeah,
actually would,
inside of the building, there would be.
okay, yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, I think the elephant in the room is the guard, right? I mean,
Yes.
I don't know if that's part of this proposal, but since the window's open all the way, I think we should have some documentation on what the guard's gonna look like. I have no problem if it's on the inside or outside, but there needs to be something. So I think as far as accepting this, I think we need to know what the plans are for the guard, not just verbally, but needs to be part of the documentation.
I think that we could have the code officer look at it. We could approve it on the code officer's approval. He could check it.
With the condition.
Yeah, with the condition.
Yeah, I'm
that-
fine with
that it's all right,
Yeah,
if that's acceptable with the
yes,
board.
that will work. Yeah, we said, what kind of drop-off we have right there? It's more than 30 inches, right? I mean,
On the outside, yes.
Yeah,
There's a
okay.
stair going down, so it's a variable
Yeah, so
height.
definitely, yeah, so something's gotta go there as a guard, but like you said, yeah, need something so we can look at it, whether it be inside or outside. And it's something that's gonna be there to prevent somebody from falling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
I would like
thinking-
to just,
Go ahead.
inside the building,
Yes.
if we put it on the outside of the building, that's very unique for downtown. This is definitely a prominent building. Something attached to the outside would be, it just wouldn't fit with the
Yeah.
rest of the architecture, so.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to this?
Any more? quick
Any more
comment?
comments?
Okay, I'll make a motion to conditionally approve 25-119 with the condition that we get a solid approval from code enforcement concerning an appropriate guard for the open windows.
And that the guard's gonna be on the inside.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Have a second.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
All opposed? Ayes have it, you're good to go. So you get together with the code officer when time comes.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, under new business, agenda item 2, application number 25-122, 301 Curve Street. Yes. Hi.
I'm Amy Burkert. I'm one of the owners at 301 Curve Street, along
Yes.
with my husband. Our intention is to build a small tool shed in our backyard.
You see, I see it's quite small.
Well, we have a rather small backyard, so limited in size.
All right, very good. I guess at this time, we will have open a public hearing on this. Public hearing be open. Any comments from the public for or against? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Staff comments on the tool shed? Anything? Board discussion.
I'll start the ball rolling. I took a look at it. It's very difficult to see where it's going to be. It's, I know you're non-contributing, but even so, it doesn't stand out anywhere. I think it's a very good idea to have a nice, neat place to pour all your stuff. So I support it.
Oh, thank you.
It's very it's snuck away in the corner.
Yeah.
I could just about see where it was going to go from the street.
You really do have to come down onto the property to be able to see
Yeah.
around the corner of the house to where the placement of the shed will be.
Yeah, and it's separate from the house.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have just a question. The siding, you mentioned LP Smart Side?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with what, maybe you just fill me in on what that is.
It's just a panelized siding that is real commonly used on small sheds like this. It has like a board and batten kind of look to it, and it just comes in a 4x8 panel, so it's easy to
Is it
work with.
composite or wood or what, do you know offhand?
I'm not, I think it's like a wood product. It's a sheet material, like a plywood kind, or a particle board kind of thing, but it's finished on the outside, so
Yeah.
you can just paint it and then it's good to go.
Okay.
All right, someone would like to make a motion?
I believe that the group siding is specifically prohibited.
I'm not sure.
The composite siding?
Any of the group panel siding, like a T111 or like a X90, like a hardboard siding with the 8-inch grooves in that. If, some people put battens over the
Right,
top of
put
that. and
battens over, yes.
That solves the problem. But with the grooves in it, it wouldn't be, it doesn't meet the qualifications.
I didn't see anything in the guidelines or in the proposed materials list that specifically says you can't use that material. So if you could point me in the right direction, that'd be helpful.
I don't have my,
I would say that we could probably approve this and
So here's what it says.
Check on
Wood, shingles, brick, stucco, corrugated metal, exterior plywood, 3-inch batten space, 12-inch centers, various hardboard siding products, fiber cement, and engineered wood intended to imitate natural wood, and that's all in chapter 3. So I think that is
it used to say it.
encompasses.
Yeah, I'm a lot better with the old rules than the new ones, so.
yeah, so I think
I'm wrong all
you're
the time, and I probably am wrong this time again.
you're okay with it.
Good, thank you.
Motion, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve application number 25-122 as submitted.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. You're
Thank
good to go.
you. One quick question for the
Yes.
code enforcement officer. I just want to be sure, I'm under the residential code, so because this is less than 120 square feet, I'm not going to need a building permit for this? Is that true?
You will. You'll need to get a building permit.
Okay.
But it used to be.
The residential code, the residential code of 2018 says that, and according to the variations that Bisbee has adopted, it specifically says in that code that if you fall under the residential code, that if it's less than 120 square feet, you don't need a building permit, as far as I know. I mean, according to my reading of the code.
That was my understanding, unless you're gonna electrify it. And
Yes, and I'm not.
That was specifically struck when we amended it. We amended the codes when they were adopted.
Yeah, you amended it down from 200 square feet to 120 square feet. So the code as it's written is, requires no building permit at 200 square feet. But Bisbee has amended the residential code down to 120 square feet. So as long as your building is less than 120 square feet, you don't need a building permit, according to my reading of the code. I just was trying to verify.
that's what I thought.
Well, we'll make sure, we'll read it. I remember seeing 200 square feet, but we'll make sure you just verify it. Give us, we have your info, we'll let you know.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Just to give us some time to look at the code and just be on the right path.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely look at it. We've amended our code since then, but yes, I'll definitely check with the building inspector and look at the residential code so that you can be on the right side. We can figure it out for you.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 3, application number 25-125, 14 Brewery Avenue.
Good evening, Board. My name is Michael Schmitzer. I own the Bisbee Brownstone, which is directly north of 14 Brewery,
Right.
along with Beth Morehouse. 14 Brewery has a long, rich history. It was, the first building there was built in 1884 by Lemuel Shattuck, and it was called the St. Louis Beer Hall. In 1904, Lemuel sold it off to the Harris brothers and called it the Hermitage. And again, it was a beer hall. The Hermitage tiles are still on the floor where it names out the Hermitage. And then there was a gap in history there, but in 61, it was bought by the Brewery Gulch Gazette, and that was their printing place until 75, when the property burnt down. And it's been boarded up basically for the last 50 years. We've already started cleaning the lot up, getting rid of the dirt, getting rid of the debris, and we plan on moving forward with what we're gonna call the Hermitage Gardens. It's going to be an outdoor beer garden. It will not be enclosed, but we'll have a period wrought iron fence on the perimeter. And then most of the materials on the interior are going to be reclaimed. The roofs that we're putting in are going to be reclaimed corrugated steel. The doors on the 2 rooms in the back are going to be reclaimed doors. The planters will be reclaimed bricks that came off of the fire on Main Street 2 years ago. And then we're leaving the tile floor as much as we possibly can leave the tile floor in, and then patch where the tiles have come up. That's about all I had.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, there was a 300-foot notification was sent out November 18th. No public comment was received.
There's one in support, I believe.
Is there-
There's
is
one in
there-
support.
Was
So
there
if you want to
one?
open the floor for public comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and read, if you want to read that letter.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Hello, this is Dale Turner with Mile High Parking. I think the beer garden is perfect for that location. Totally for it. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, Dale Turner.
Okay, very good. All right, at this time, we're going to have a public hearing on this. Public hearing is open. Any comment on the public for? Okay. Against? Hearing none, I'm going to close the hearing. And we'll open it up to staff comments. Any staff comments? Then board discussion. Questions? Comments?
So does this have the back where the doors are at, is that a bathroom back there, or is it?
One is a bathroom, and the other one, I think, was a kitchen originally. We're going to use it as a storeroom for the alcohol.
So the buildings have already been, does that already exist inside the building, or is
They
that?
already existed.
Okay. And then the awnings that I'm looking at along the, I guess it'd be the northern wall?
Yes,
How's that attached to the building?
with an angle iron
Drilled in?
drilled into the brick and with an angle iron, and then it will be tack welded from the top.
Okay.
And we already have that corrugated steel on site. It came off of the old Chiricahua building that was raised here about 4 years ago.
Okay. Is that, in, excuse excuse my ignorance, is that red brick that's?
Yes,
That's red brick. So you're gonna drill in and attach to the red brick.
that's our intention.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm curious, how do you get access to the reclaimed brick from the fire?
I got it from Pam and Randy, who own Many Fine Things.
Okay,
I was actually the superintendent on the Letson Hotel when it was rebuilt. And I was the one that stacked and palletized 62 pallets of red brick.
You're very familiar with it, I see.
Yes.
okay. I
So
always
we've
wondered
got
where it
access
was,
to,
yeah.
to that. We're trying to keep everything as reclaimed materials.
Okay.
Good, sounds good. Yes, Peter?
Just picking up on what John said, typically, we like you to drill into the mortar rather than the brick if you can, rather than destroy the brick. That way, if it comes
Correct.
off, you haven't, that would be good.
Yes. We've already restored quite a bit of, I don't know if you can tell by the pictures, but a lot of the foundation walls there are stone foundation walls. Because this building goes back to 1884. And we've already gone ahead and restored a lot of the brick, or excuse me, a lot of the rocks and repointed a lot of that. So we will repoint where we need to repoint on the red brick.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve application 25-125 as submitted, and I think this is a great use of that space. Thank you very much.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, you're good to go.
Really quickly, who said I'm for it? Who was that? Say you? You?
I said, sounds awesome.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I put words in your mouth.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, application 25-127, 137 Higgins Hill. This is concerning demolition. Yes, please come up and,
Hello, my name is Alicia Spiriti. I live at 139 Higgins Hill, so that's
right next door.
right next to it
Yeah,
against
yeah.
the highway.
Yeah.
I acquired this property in 2023. It came at a reasonable price for Old Bisbee because it came along with this dilapidated structure. So this structure has been sitting vacant for 50-plus years. I was informed there was 2 houses on the adjacent lots to the east that burnt down. So the whole east side of this building has fire damage. It's sketchy. It's scary. It's a scary structure. It has been modified over the years. The assessor's records say it's 623 square feet. I actually measured the exterior. It's 750, so it's had modifications. So it's been modified over the years, so the preservation of the original 1900 construction has been covered up. The floor plan has been changed. It's completely gutted. Underneath the foundation, we can go through some photos here. So here's the lot. So the lot runs from Quarry to Higgins. So you can't see this. Like, if you're standing on Quarry, you can't really see the home. You're on Higgins, kind of in the canyon there. So I had an issue with the insurance company. When I purchased this entire north-facing, east-facing was covered in vines. I call it, was part of the structure. It was maintaining the structure. To get insurance on 139, the insurance company required me to remove all debris from this structure and no debris within 5 feet. And I fought with them. I was able to get them to renew my premium, but it's extra, right? It's fire risk. So looking at this has all been removed now. The sewer line is, this ivory vine has winded up in there. It's now a structural member. You go under the home, the piles that was supporting the foundation, they're not connected. The roof, I think one of these actually blew off. It was pretty windy last night, but it's been coming up. the previous owner stapled up plastic, so there is mold. So I can only assume when the fire happened, spray it with water, you can see the mold. I try not to go in this building. I have severe allergies. It's not healthy. All the windows are boarded up. If you walk along the west side of the property, you can actually see it's like leaning inwards. So in my assessment, just based upon looking at it, there's some structural concerns. So this is north facing. Here's the interior, the mold that I had mentioned. They had put it up. It's storage. I purchased it. Most of this stuff was already in there. When I purchased the property, living up a hill, you know, it's challenging to carry everything out. I've tried to move some of the stuff away from the north end of the house because that seems where it dips and it gets sketchy to relieve the weight because of my fear is this thing is going to fall down with one wind. So this is underneath the home. There's like a little basement area. It's compartmentalized. Here's the structures that I mentioned, the piles that once were supporting, and now it looks like somebody shimmed up. There's tons of wood under there. There's a rodent issue. I've cleaned up some of the rat to see if they're still living there or not. We'll find out this winter. You can see the roots have driven. So this house is connected to electricity. So there was a garage built on the top of the hill, and the power ties to this house and then daisy chains over. I don't know how or who approved that, but I don't know. It has me nervous. No sewer. No got gas, none of that's hooked up. Here's the underneath towards the front end, it's used for storage. So I think this property, in my opinion, is past preservation. It's been neglected. To restore it, you're pretty much reconstructing it. So you're taking a 1900 home and trying to conform it to the 2018 building standards. And the big changes are the structural requirements. And then you add the economic feasibility. So I'm about affordable housing. Like, I believe we should all be able to live for under $1,000 a month, which might be unrealistic. But to preserve this home and have it as a rental, it would be very expensive. And I have some affordable rental houses in the community. I would love to long-term, you know, provide more affordable housing rentals. I just can't do it with this structure. Given the condition that it was in. So yeah, this is going to be a hard one, even just because it's on the side of the mountain. You're going to be carrying in materials, limited access for equipment. Yeah, that's my case.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will open a public hearing. And any comments for or against? Yes, come forward and state your name and state your comments. You got 3 minutes.
My name is Rick Luigi. I live at 142 Quarry Canyon. It is probably within 100, 150 feet of this property, down lower. Quarry Canyon runs parallel to the Higgins Hill Road that she's on. But I'm down below, and I say probably within 100, 150 feet. I can see it by pictures of it from my back porch. It is a mess. And I'm not here to argue with the valuation or the integrity of it in a historical sense. I'm here because I've been told, and my neighbor, who's a well-respected contractor in town and is in the back of the room, who I think tends to speak, is concerned about the asbestos. The siding on that house apparently is loaded with asbestos. Whether it's made of it or not, I don't know. I grew up in Groton, Connecticut, and when I left in 2000, well, when I was 18 years old, there was a turmoil going on legally about mesothelioma, which was caused by workmen in the submarine factory being around asbestos. And that litigation went on for 40 or 50 years. In fact, I think it's still going on. That's a nasty disease. And I don't know enough about this to tell you how it should be done, but I'm a little bit intrigued that that issue didn't come up during the presentation. I assume it's something they've considered. And I would like to defer to my other neighbor who brought this to my attention about how this should be done and done safely. Because I know for a fact, and I've had friends and people who were neighbors of mine in Connecticut who died of this disease, and it doesn't take long to kill you. And it doesn't take much asbestos to do it. So I just want to make sure, since my house is going to be passed on to my son, that this is done right. Again, I don't care if it's torn down, but if the thing's got to be tented to be done correctly, if it's got to be sprayed somehow to protect it from becoming friable, that needs to be done. And I think there would be serious, serious legal problems, regardless how this board acts, if that weren't done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get your name real quick?
Richard Lougee, L-O-U-G-E-E.
Okay, thank you.
Would anyone, Alan, would you like to speak?
Yeah, my name's Alan Hosey. I live at 408 Roberts Avenue, which is about 200 feet away from this structure. I've lived there since 1983. I've known the previous owners, and that building was a shop for Todd Hoyer. He did turning, wood carvings, and he was never going to do anything to repurpose it. He just used it as a shop. But my biggest concern is the way they remove the asbestos siding. It's regulated. If there's more than 160 square feet of aggregate product, it has become regulated asbestos-containing material, and there's federal guidelines, EPA, ADQ, and NESHAP, that require it to be done in a way to protect the environment. So, you know, I don't know if it's just to get rid of the rats or to create a new building site in the future, but I've repurposed many buildings in worse condition than that in the 43 years I was in business here. So anyway, that's my concerns. Really look into the record about the asbestos removal and handling. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak to this? This time, Ben?
I don't know if you want to reset the clock.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Good.
So when I see this house, it reminds me exactly of the house I bought when I first moved to Bisbee. My house was actually, seems to be, it was in worse condition. Joe, you remember well, I'm sure. And I love my house now. It is comfy, it is safe, still working on it, but now on less important things. What that house meant to me was an opportunity to move to a town that I had always wanted to move to in an affordable way. Because the neighbor next door was like, hey, you need to sell this house and get it occupied, and they put it on the market, and for cheap, I was able to buy it, and I was able to fulfill my dreams of living in Bisbee in a historic house because it was put on the market, and I think that's important. And it wasn't torn down, and I think that's important. It wasn't listed as historic, but I will be filling out paperwork to have it contributing. Just because it's not contributing doesn't mean it's not historic. And you can talk to anyone at SHPO about that rule. Contributing is only a tax classification, and that's it. When it was built and what's left, what's intact, like the roof line looks like it's still original, that's what's important here. So I object to the demolition. I do agree with Alan Hosey and the other gentleman that came up that, yeah, the asbestos needs to be taken care of, but I do question why it was purchased, if not to be rented out or not, it's a historic district. Anyone that buys a property here knows that it's a historic district and knows that we have a housing problem. Why would you buy this property if you're just gonna demolish it? It should go back on the market and let somebody, like my friend over here who wants to buy a house in Bisbee, two friends over here that want to buy houses in Bisbee and fix them up. Like, people want to do that. It should go on the market. So don't demolish historic homes. You can't build them the same way anymore. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Lori, okay?
I'm not going to take
Emmanuel,
very long,
wanna-
maybe more than 16 seconds. I agree with Ben. I just, I hadn't really seen the house until we saw the photos, but it looks very intriguing to me. I can see the intrinsic value inside when, in the upper part, not underneath, but there was a lot of wood down there. But I question, why couldn't you just, if it's 2 parcels, why couldn't you just parcel it off and sell the house on the other parcel and let somebody fix it up? I mean, I don't really think it should be demolished either. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Johnny? Oops. You give your name, please?
Hello, Dawn Decker. I live at 131 Higgins Hill, so I am Alicia's neighbor. And I see some of the challenges she's been having as her neighbor, and I feel she has good honor in wanting to create, and I know she's talked to other builders about renovating it, and it just was very, very, very costly. It wasn't going to be viable for her. And I think, as a neighbor, I support her in wanting to demolish this and put something small that she could use as a housing there. We see the rats, we help her take care of some of the weeds and the things that have been part of the land, and she's a good neighbor, and I think has good intention. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shawnee, 120 Brewery Gulch, do some building around town. I have a very similar type of house that's right next door to where we live, similar size and similar condition. As a builder, I just see the level of expense that would take to get this livable is far outstrips what a 623 square foot, home could be reasonably sold for. And yes, it might, if you are somebody who's willing to do all your own work and have the skills to do that, you might be able to, pull that off. But it seems like an unfair ask to make somebody who isn't going to be doing that all themselves and is going to have to bear the burden of the cost of bringing it fully up to code. The house was built, it's far, far outlasted its design life. It was built to be, inexpensive housing over 100 years ago, and, without a proper foundation, without, any kind of structure that, could be called robust. And so to ask somebody to redo that, I mean, you could maybe say, hey, if you want to rebuild it, tear it down, rebuild it the same design. But beyond that, it's a big ask.
Okay, thank you, Shawnee. Would you like to speak?
My name is Gene Shaw. I'm a friend of the deceased. I've been building houses and restoring houses in Sierra Vista for about 20 years. I looked at her house with the hope of maybe I could help her get it in shape again. And it's absolutely a disaster. I agree with everything he said. It's just totally undoable. I like the sentimentality and the beauty of restoring. I love Bisbee. I love the structure. I love the designs of houses, but there are some that are just too far gone. And that would be the category I'd put that one in. Thank you.
Okay,
Can I
thank
catch your name real quick?
Gene Shaw,
How do you spell the last name?
S-H-A-W.
Thank you.
My name is still Aurelia Cohen. And I am someone who was really interested in that property before it came up for sale, as I mentioned earlier. And Alicia is a great neighbor. And we had a conversation because I became aware of this meeting. And in that conversation, I was asking about, why would you choose to tear down a building when you had thought about restoring it? She mentioned the astronomical costs. And I guess I need to talk really quickly because of 3 minutes. But I guess the things that come to mind are the fact that I know that she is concerned about some impending fees that are stated in the recently adopted, I'm forgetting the term, but it was 2506, and I mentioned it earlier. There are some fines that are extremely unreasonable, in my opinion, and I would almost imagine anyone but a millionaire would agree with me. I believe the term was not more than $750 a day and not less than $100 a day, which adds up to $23,000 a month at most, just to have an abandoned property or a vacant property that is not contributing on your property. So I don't know if she is still of this opinion, but last night when we spoke, she pretty much said, look, this is the path of least resistance. I can't afford that. And she seemed very concerned with the threat of impending fees that are excessive and unreasonable when you have a private property that is yours, that you're already paying taxes on, you're already paying insurance on, you're already just getting clear on because, she only bought it in 2023. So as somebody who was interested in restoring this property, as somebody who has built a couple cabins, who's worked structurally on work sites and as part of restoration projects, I see that it's a huge project, but personally I could pour foundation under there or add structural beams. I could put a new roof on there. I could keep the outside walls as they are. I live in a house down the street that's very similar. It was built in 1899. It has the same asbestos, and the removal of the asbestos is extremely concerning to me. Also, as I have a 13-year-old son who plays in that area. I played in that yard as a child. I am emotionally attached to the building. I do care about it. I care about my neighbors, and I would like everyone to be able to have a peaceful solution to this. But I think there need to be resources available and suggestions made to assist people who would like and would prefer to preserve these places. If it's going to be super expensive, maybe there needs to be a grant process or some suggestions that are available to people. And if we could make that something that is extremely accessible to the public so that we can share that information and share those resources with each other, that would be amazing. So I'd like to have that house if she's going to demolish it.
All right.
Hello, my name is Linda Santianes, and I thought I was just coming here to listen to something, but from listening, I'm on both sides of the fence on this one. I have been in that home. I was in there 5 years ago when I was looking to purchase a home. I didn't actually care too much for the house that had been remodeled, but I loved that structure. And I know it needed a lot of work then. I mean, a lot of work. Probably not as much as the little house that I purchased that was condemned. So I don't know if this house is condemned or not. So that's question number one. Do you know, is it condemned? No, I mean, you either know or you don't know. It's a yes or no answer. So it's not a condemned property. I have a condemned property. Now, it does sound like, well, the asbestos issue is huge. There's only two ways of dealing with that. You either contain it, so if you remodel it, you have to contain it on the walls, or you remediate it, which would be either tenting, or there's a million different ways of doing it. But there are good contractors in Tucson who can take care of that. I'm not for demolishing the property, but if it happens, I'm very concerned because I know the city building was not contained. And we all knew it had asbestos, and I called about that to deaf ears, and now they have issues with that. The other thing is, you can't really have, oh, this is for Joe. Hi, Joe. You can't really have two homes on one property? Are they both on one property? Oh, they are separate lots. Okay, then that does not come into effect. But I can say that there is a possibility of joining both properties. Since that one has no utilities at work, you could have it as an accessory building. You can go through the assessor's department on that one, especially if it's not condemned, because it may, if it's, are they both contributing, the house you live in right now and the other one next door?
They're not, it's a non-contributing structure.
Okay, are they both non-contributing? It gets tricky when one's.
The one I live in was actually missed on the survey, it's not even on the historic register. Like the
Okay.
old, on yeah, no.
Yeah, that was completely remodeled, so that's, in my opinion, it probably isn't even contributing, but I don't know. So I do know that if you mix those two properties and they're both either non-contributing or they're both contributing, it can become an accessory building if you can prove that there are no utilities to it. And I would say that the electrical is pretty easy to take down, but it's mostly sewage that kicks it in. So if it has an operable restroom, then you have an issue. Okay, so you might want to think about that. I'm going through the process of this right now, and I'm hitting a lot of bumps, not necessarily from my end, but from the other end. So, I'm like in the middle of dealing with this, but that's what I found out, so just for information. Let's see what else I have in here. Oh, I think that the financial feasibility is, not a reason to demo property.
Thank you, Linda.
Hi. What's your name?
Dave Mills.
Dave Mills. Gotcha. Oops. I am sorry, everybody.
That's fine. So I'm not a contractor, but I have restored a couple of places, not here in this area, but in different markets. And I have been in this structure, and it is, I don't think the picture's quite reflected. The back side, it's on a steep hill, and the back side of it is already kind of diving down into the corner to enough to where when inspecting and trying to check out all these things that were in there, I wouldn't even walk onto that side of the house. And, I've heard a lot of concerns about the asbestos, and I would be concerned that with nothing done to it without managing it and tearing it down, that you might run into a problem where it will collapse and then release all of this asbestos, into the air on its own. I guess my opinion of it is that, it is at risk for that, especially since all those vines had been removed. They were growing up into the siding, into the walls, and were quite difficult to pull off. I helped in that process. And it does feel like removing that kind of removed some of what was holding that structure up. And so that's my concern, just that with nothing done, it might end up falling down that hill on its own.
Thank you. With any further comment from anybody?
I have letters to read.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. One second. Okay. This is a call received from Rosalinda Hernandez, care of for Lirios y Cobre. Okay. Should the structure be deemed unsalvageable, they are in support of the proposed demolition. Due to the growing concern about fire in the historic district, they feel this is the best course of action. Okay, that was a phone call. That's what they said. Okay, this is from David Pendergrast regarding demolition of structure at 137 Higgins Hill. We are in favor of demolition of the structure at 137 Higgins Hill in Old Bisbee. There are several issues regarding this structure and support its being demolished, but the main one is the fire hazard it presents, which impacts our entire community. But our primary concern regarding the demolition of the structure is the asbestos siding that is on the building. We do not want asbestos unnecessarily released into our neighborhood. The size of the project exceeds the asbestos abatement exemption thresholds. So if this demolition is approved, the City of Bisbee needs to ensure that the property owner follows any ADEQ or NESHAP requirements for asbestos abatement by including the requirement in the approval, and also to make sure they are followed. including utilizing an abatement contractor for asbestos removal and a demolition contractor for the demolition. Also, if the demolition-related work site will be accessed via Quarry Canyon, we would ask that the City of Bisbee adequately mark the city-owned property where the vehicle turnaround near the end of Quarry Canyon is located, so that it does not get blocked by private vehicles. Per Cochise County records, this turnaround is on city property and has been used as a public turnaround for the past 50 years. The private vehicles that have been blocking the turnaround for the last few months have already been creating a bottleneck for the neighborhood, and if there will be additional traffic and parking, this issue needs to be corrected. We understand that commercial demolition-related vehicles may need to block or park in the turnaround while abatement, demolition, and debris removal is underway. David Pendergast. That's it.
That's it? If there's no further comment, I'm going to declare the hearing closed at this time. Any staff comments? No staff comments?
No, I have, oh,
Well,
sorry.
yeah, just, we'll get to it. Now, we're going to open to the board discussion.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, my question is, what is the construction experience of the owner?
You can ask the owner, yeah.
Have you been a contractor?
No, ma'am. So I'm in real estate development. I have rehabbed a 1905 in Warren that sat vacant for 5 years, which is now affordable housing for 2 wonderful tenants. We're very happy to be there. I accidentally landed in rehabilitation. The first property I ever bought, I ended up accidentally rehabilitating it.
Okay, I have other questions. When this house was up for sale in '23, I looked back at the listing, it didn't look nearly this sad. It looked like it was in a lot better shape. Just an observation. It didn't have the vines, it didn't have a lot of stuff in the front and in the porch. It was ready, it was up for sale. And to me, it doesn't look, at that time, it doesn't look like it was that bad. And I do have a construction experience. I was a licensed contractor in another state for various trades.
So yes, there is some clutter on the porch that has been pulled out of that building to try to reduce the weight load. So yes, it needs to be cleaned up. The porch, I agree. I need a dump run.
Lorraine, can you speak into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did anyone not hear me?
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Good. Any further questions?
No, I think that was what I wanted to say.
I just want to read something that's, this is out of our development guidelines. This would be clearly a renovation for this house. And according to the renovation information in our guidelines, it says, if the building were to be renovated in its current format, would it be financially viable? Would the cost to renovate in its current footprint be more than the building is worth? Obviously, yes. Is the building too small for practical contemporary use? Could an addition of a bathroom and extra square footage make the structure an asset to the historic district in general, or better fitting in the needs of the community? Clearly, yes. Is the overall condition of the structure such that the extensive replacement of architectural features, doors, windows, trims, is needed to assure viability of the building for the future generation? Again, clearly, yes. The building is definitely clearly in the renovation category. Being so, the property is fit for one or more of these, if the property is fit with one or more of these descriptions, shall be considered for extension renovation treatment that may include new code-compliant, city-approved architectural materials installed with historically accurate styling. Recovered and/or reused historic materials could be utilized in conjunction with contemporary materials to add historical value and artistic flair. Street view elevations should maintain size, scale, proportion, massing of architectural features, and building design to keep within the structure's historic design and general integrity of the historic district. So I did restore a building that was in considerably worse shape than the one that you have. The building that I ended up with, a beautiful, historically accurate Bisbee building that I used a lot of the old materials, but it was approximately 300 square foot bigger. The house had very good value. It was desirable. It sold easily. My comment is, to say that the house is not worth restoring is not accurate. There is a lot of value in that house, especially with that property that could be made very easily accessible from Higgins by vehicle, which to have a house that you can drive up into the yard in Bisbee is almost unheard of. So I do believe that there's value in the house. That roof line is phenomenal. 75% of the houses on Higgins have that exact roof line. It's very fitting for the neighborhood. That building could be made into something fantastic for far less than the building is worth. And it's not just an opinion, that's a fact. That property has value.
Other comments from the board?
Yeah, I'm sure you do too, right? I've got a couple of comments. I think the asbestos can be handled. There are professionals that take care of that, and you probably need to take care of it whether you tear it down or not. So I don't think that's the outstanding issue. I think we got to be very consistent on how we handle this, because this is not the first time similar cases have come up. And since I've lived here, I watched a home, I think it's 9, Clausen, maybe 12, that appeared to be as bad as yours. I was afraid to go into it. And I know the owner struggled with trying to tear it down. In the end, he rebuilt that home, and it's beautiful, absolutely outstanding. And I think this is a very similar situation. I think we need to keep in mind the people that have gone through this before, so we need to be very as consistent as we can be, so that we're fair to others that wound up rebuilding these structures. To me, it's a very iconic style of home for Old Bisbee. In fact, I have one right next door to me, so it'll be interesting what happens with that. So those are my comments. I feel for you, definitely. I mean, it's almost mind-boggling that these can be rebuilt, but I've seen it. Now, the expense is another story, but either way, I think it's going to be fairly expensive. That's all I got.
Joe?
Yeah. Emmanuel, when the listings for the contributing, non-contributing properties, what did it say why it was non-contributing?
It didn't say why it was not contributing, it just said it's not contributing.
Okay. Because it was probably the condition the house was in, but they normally say that on the listings. But I've been inside the house with the prior owner and been all over that house inside and out, and I don't think it's appropriate at this point to demolish the house. I think preservation is our job, and the cement asbestos siding is it's all abatable, whether the house remains or gets torn down. That should be done by a asbestos abatement specialist, but it can be done safely. And we're not here to make our history or to facilitate it, our history going away, our historic houses and that. And we've all seen, as everybody said, we've all seen much worse restored very nicely, and far, far worse. And so I recommend renovation.
Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, it's just the worst thing that we ever have to deal with on the DRB.
Thank you.
I'm coming up to the end of my 3rd term, and during that period, we've saved 2 or 3 houses, which really, there was a lot of public support to tear them down, and I'm glad we saved them, including the one on Corson that you mentioned. So, yeah, it's not easy, but we are here to preserve as best we can. I hear a lot of support from the other members of the board and from the audience. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel that the home could be restored. I think the issue is the cost of it, I'm sure, for you. So I think that's the next item of discussion is how to deal with that. If there's some way that we can help, or have a discussion about that. I don't know what that would be at this juncture, but I certainly feel the building could be saved. It's just a matter of how to do it, and I don't know if you would be interested in putting it on the market again, and yes, yeah.
So I have actually, I'm a licensed real estate agent. I get wholesalers, rehabbers contacting me constantly looking for a deal to rehabilitate.
Right.
And there's been about a half dozen that I've sent a picture to say, hey, here's one.
Yeah.
And the response I have got is, that's not rehabilitation, that's a tear down.
Right.
And it becomes a mathematical problem, right? It's, yes, we love the history, we love the architecture, but we also need affordable housing. So it's this double-edged sword that we have to watch. I agree, we could rehabilitate it and turn it into a $500,000 home. Which is more important?
Okay. Any further discussion from the board? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we decline demolition on application number 25127.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? None opposed? Application declined. Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item 5, 25-130. One Naco Road is the, you want to speak to that? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you're up next. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello, I'm Dale Turner. I've been involved with the Copper Queen Plaza building for 23 years, and I bought my partners out of the parking lot. We didn't have the funds to fix it up, and it was an eyesore in my opinion. So I did the work, and I think it, in my opinion, looks much, much better now. So one of the things I did was, when I resurfaced it, asphalt's too expensive. I did a sand slurry, and also, the building beside me is Mr. Barco's ice house building.
Right.
And it usually looks pretty run down, and I don't think he's got the finances to paint it or do anything with it. So I made, when I did, I paid to resurface around his place too, so it looked better. And now I'd like to put a billboard on, not a billboard, a mural on the side of his building. And I don't know if you've seen the building lately or not, but it's, it's faded green. And, I do think it's an eyesore, and I think a mural is perfect for Bisbee. Bisbee's a city of arts. And Bill Mead is he did the Sorted Pass building up the street here. He's done, I think, 7 murals in town, and he's willing to do a mural on that building. So I'm here to ask permission to have a mural painted.
Okay, sounds good. That's fine. You can, any comments from the public, for or against?
Yay.
Okay, staff comments?
You already submitted an application for the mural?
Excuse me?
You've submitted an application already, or?
Yes.
All right, that's good. Board discussion. Any
Well,
questions, comments?
I don't think we have an example of what this will look like, right? I haven't seen.
Well, if you look at a Bill Mead mural, you'll probably have an idea what it looks like.
Well, but, you
They're
know, so
pretty-
10
I
feet.
think that's a mock-up of.
Oh, I didn't see
kind
that,
of-
I'm sorry.
You have some pictures here.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Bill Mead does colorful, magical themed murals. We want to have a location on it, hopefully that says Bisbee, so visitors to town can take their picture in front of it. And I think it'll really contribute to, the building is real old, it's a cinder block building, it's not a contributing building at all. And I think it'll contribute to the impression people get of Bisbee when they come to town.
Any other questions, comments?
I like it.
You like it, okay. Peter, want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right,
Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry.
go for it, go for it.
To accept proposal number 25-130 as presented.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Who was this second?
John.
Mr. Guy.
John was. Agenda item 6, approval of the November 5th Design Review Board meeting minutes. All in favor of approval, say aye.
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 I abstain. I wasn't at the
Oh,
meeting.
you weren't here. Okay, no worries. Okay,
Abstain.
You got that, Emmanuel?
Do.
Agenda item 7, ways to increase the awareness regarding the penalty for demolition without a permit in the historic district. Who would like to start that conversation?
So I've had recent conversations with some of our neighbors, and then I've went on and tried to find some of our guidelines for the historic district, the development standards specifically. So the website's really difficult to use, and I know that there are several people that are interested in that information. There's a lot of information in there. It's a lot to take in, but if you have a specific item that you need to reference, that's the place to look for it. The comment was made to me that maybe, a copy or 3 could be kept in the library so that someone could request to check it out. The post office, maybe we could have it posted inside the post office so that someone would be able to look at this and say, oh yeah, I was looking for that, I couldn't find it on the website. Maybe even have a path that we post in the library or in the post office. I think we have good information, it's just really hard to find.
It's hard to access at times.
It absolutely is, and I know most of my neighbors. I think we're basically a bunch of good conscientious people in Bisbee. I don't think anyone is intentionally violating our building permits or removing or putting items in Bisbee with the intent of, breaking some sort of rule. I just don't think anyone knows where the rules are at, or at least they're very hard to find.
Right. We do have, section 3.5.5 demolition and movement of historic buildings. Essentially, nobody should attempt to demo a building without getting a permit, right? So it's pretty explicit that they won't issue a permit until after the DRB approves it. So I guess we can find a way to say that to people, and people can understand that there's a DRB. Generally, if somebody wants to demolish a building, they need to get a permit, and then we would essentially direct them to the DRB and be like, well, you need to fill this application first, right? So, and I know some people aren't used to the idea of getting a permit to do things like demolishing buildings, but seems like it should be pretty obvious. But I think you're right, we could make it more available and put a page on a website maybe or something on our city website.
Yeah, I've always felt there's a lot of leverage to be had with contractors and even real estate agents. Because I'm not sure, people from out of town will buy a home looking at the property and have no idea what it takes to be able to demolish a a home. So I think some level of education. And generally, demolishing a home is done by contractors, not always. But I think, you know, we need to hold them to the fire to make sure that they get approval to do that. So those are my thoughts.
Yep. So, I mean, we do hold them to the fire. I mean, I could read to you a little bit about the penalties if you'd like to hear about it.
I would love to hear about it.
Okay, let me read the penalties for demolition without a permit in the historic district. For the purposes of this section, a responsible party shall be defined as an occupant, leaser, lessee, manager, licensee, contractor, architect, or other person having control over or use of the structure or parcel of land. In addition to the general penalties for a violation of the zoning code, any owner and or responsible party who causes, permits, facilitates, or aids or abets any violation of this section 3.5.5, or who fails to perform any act or duty required thereby is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor, which can result in a maximum penalty and sentence of up to 6 months in jail and $2,500 fine, provided, however, that the city attorney may authorize the filing of certain cases or classes of cases as civil violations subject to a civil sanction of not less than $500 or more than $2,500. Each day a violation of any provision of this section 3.5.5 or a failure to perform any act or duty required thereby exists may constitute a separate offense until all the following have been completed. A, building permit submitted and accepted by the city, and B, demolition permit submitted and accepted by the city, and C, plan submitted and approved by the city, and D, must have design review board application packet submitted for processing. 3, in addition to any fine or penalty imposed in accordance with this section 3.5.5 D1, the building official shall, upon finalization of judgment, A, issue a formal complaint with the Arizona State Registrar of Contractors against any contractor or company involved with an unauthorized demolition, and B, issue a formal notification of the violation to the State Historic Preservation Office regarding the unauthorized demolition of any structure, site, or historic landmark. 4, in addition to any fine or penalty imposed in accordance with section 3.5.5, one of the following may be imposed as an additional penalty or remedy. A, reconstruction or restoration of a contributing structure or historic landmark to its appearance prior to the violation. B, prohibition or restriction of building permits for new construction on the site for not more than 7 years, but not less than 30 days. 5, the following factors are considered when imposing any penalty or remedy in accordance with section 3.5.5. A, whether the structure, site, or historic landmark is one of the last remaining examples of its kind in the neighborhood, city, or region. B, whether there exists sufficient documentation, plans, or other data so as to make reconstruction feasible. C, the age of the original structure, site, or historic landmark, and all subsequent additions and modifications. D, the physical condition of the structure, site, or historic landmark immediately prior to its total or partial demolition. E, the amount of demolition sustained by the structure, site, or historic landmark. F, whether or not had total or partial demolition occurred, the structure, site, or historic landmark could have been put into a reasonable economic use either prior to or after rehabilitation. G, whether the structure, site, or historic landmark was eligible for inclusion on the National Register of Historic Places immediately prior to its total or partial demolition. H, whether the structure, site, or historic landmark is included on the National Register of Historic Places. Or I, whether the owner and or responsible party has a legal or equitable interest in the structure, site, or historic landmark. So there's an appeal process, but I don't really think we need to go into that right now because this is a long bit of.
Thank you for reading that. Sorry to put you through it.
The idea. But do we enforce it? You know, there have been instances where things have been deconstructed, and I'm not aware of anybody ever getting a penalty for it.
I believe I did stop a demolition up in Old Bisbee not too long ago. I was sent them with a stop work order, and that was the plan, so we had to let them know. We actually posted a stop work order right there and just let them know, and then, you know, kind of guide them what the procedure is, and if you're gonna demolish, you need to go get a demolition permit.
Yeah,
Right, I think that the idea is to notify the people and, you know, if they'll work with the city, then we don't need to
yeah.
go down the
If
dark road.
it's not too late.
Yeah,
I mean, they can go down in a day.
right. You can.
And we had one just recently that did.
Okay, I wasn't
Yep.
aware of that.
Came before the committee, we disapproved the demo, but we did approve to remove some of the older sections. In a week, the building was gone.
Well, I mean, the penalties seem quite stiff
Yeah.
if we put some teeth on it.
All right, any further,
If we apply it.
Yeah.
any further comments? If not, we'll move on to agenda item 8, discuss ways to inform the public about DRB rules or by mailer or postcard. You know, in the past, we've had this discussion, and quite a number of years ago, we came up with this folder that explains that people need to get a permit. They need to contact the DRB before they do any work on their home, on the exterior of the home. We've given this to realtors, and I think it's probably over at the visitor center. If not, it should be.
We have a visitor center?
We
Oh, my gosh.
And so this is one thing that we've done. And in the past, I know we had a person on the board that was doing an article in the Observer every so often about it. But she's since left town, no longer writing that. So any other people's thoughts about informing people?
So, and I think I jumped the gun when I talked about putting some information in the library. This is what I was talking about. However, I would be more than happy to go and talk to our head librarian and see if there's something that we can do to have our development guidelines made available, maybe a couple copies or.
We do have copies at City Hall that people can come and look at, I believe in the lobby. Well, we did the old City Hall. I'll have to look and see if we have the copies here. We do have them.
Did you give a copy of it?
I don't, you know,
So I have to go
What's
look
that?
what was going on.
Yeah, why don't you keep that if you like.
Okay, I think that's,
Sure, yeah.
yes.
So I will do that.
got it.
All right, any other comments on how to make ourselves heard more? I think it's just when people come to town, they've got to realize they're buying into a historic district, and there's rules in that district, and I think.
It's not
that a
like
lot
we're
of-
the only historic district in the world. People have experiences with the historic districts all over the country.
Right. And I think a lot of people that want to live in the historic district understand that. So occasionally stuff slips by. All right, if there's no further comments on that, any staff comments in general?
Just, a lot of this information as far as DRB, you know, it's in the CWBC website. You can find a lot of it there as far as procedures for DRBs and you name it. I mean, you got city codes, zoning codes in there. Any day, just something you can type, a search engine and, you know, DRB and something you can find it like that. But, I mean, it's more outreach, I think is what we're talking about.
Right. Okay, I'm going to move on to future agenda item suggestions. And I have one. I spoke with Nina and Melissa about coming to our next meeting and talking about the new ordinance. So you might want to be here for that. We're going to have a little informational session at some point in our meeting, next meeting, to clarify things.
Same time, same place?
Yep. Yeah, it'll probably be at the end of the meeting.
Look for the design review board on the City Busy website. It'll give you the time and the day. It's always 5:30, so it starts at 5:30.
Yeah.
Just the first Wednesday of the month, so.
I'd like to there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of hyperbole about what's going on with that. So we're gonna hear it from the people that put it together. and they'll be available for questions.
Yeah, on the 7th of January.
Not yet. This is going to be at our next meeting. So I'm just putting it on the agenda. So it will be posted. Any other suggestions for further agenda items? Okay, if not, I'm going to move on to adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.